Saturday, August 31st, 2019, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Before I move on to my main subject today, which is how gold is triumphing versus the fiat currencies, and I'll also reference this book here, The Triumph of Gold by Dr. Franz Pick. I want to talk about the objective of my channel so that new viewers, new subscribers have an idea what I'm trying to accomplish here. First of all, I'm not trying to help people get rich quick, telling them what security to buy, what bond to buy, what precious metals to buy, what stock to buy. My background is in finance and economics. I started out at a small private bank in Geneva, Switzerland in the late 80s. I have a degree, BA degree in international relations with emphasis in economics. I grew up also in Brazil, where we had massive inflation and hyperinflation while I was growing up. So I do have an interest in currencies and money. To many Americans, for example, they don't really focus on foreign exchange or currency because the dollar has been the major reserve currency since 1944-45. So I think it's important to look at currencies. That's my background there. What I'm trying to do here as well is give the average person out there, the person who's not in finance, who doesn't work in the markets, who's an architect or a writer or a doctor or whatever that person might be, a taxi driver, Uber driver. I want to give them an idea what money is about, what currencies are about, and what especially sound money is about, what inflation is about, and how it is important, in my opinion, to protect one's savings if possible. And I know it's very hard these days for people to accumulate any savings, especially young people who start out with sometimes with a lot of student debt, student loans. They can't get on the property ladder, as they call it here in the UK. They've got to rent. It's very difficult. Taxation, of course, and also the rising cost of living, which is the consequence of inflation, all the money printing that we've had. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Just try to enlighten people a little bit if I can. Don't really like to use that term, but just give my expertise, just how I used to talk to my clients in the city. I didn't speak to private clients. I spoke to professional investors, like, how can I say, institutional investors, like bank traders. I used to speak to fund managers, corporate treasury managers, and people like that. So, yeah, I was fairly well trained. So that's what I'm trying to bring here with this channel. The focus, of course, is precious metals. And why is that? Do I have a fetish with gold? No, I don't. It's just that gold is a great protection against inflation, against confiscation of one's savings. And that's why I focus so much on gold. And today I'm going to reference this book here, The Triumph of Gold by Dr. Franz Pick. Yes, he was a gold bug, and I would say I'm a gold bug as well. And what is it? What is being a gold bug all about? Well, it's more than just having a nice shiny metal, which gold is, by the way. If you haven't bought physical gold, you should if you're thinking about it. I do have a promo code for my UK viewers at goldinvestments.co.uk. It's maneco64. I also have a promo code at a new way of buying gold, which is Glint. My promo code there is MarioGlint79, and basically you buy gold through them and they store it for you in Switzerland, physically store it for you in Switzerland, and you can also spend it if you want with a MasterCard. That's Glint Pay. So back to the triumph of gold and also how gold is triumphing today. I'm going to reference this book first, and then I'm going to look at how gold is doing in all the major fiat currencies so people can have a visual idea of what's happening out there and how quickly the value of their savings in paper currencies is dwindling. And why do I say that? Well, because if paper currencies are going down versus gold, or gold is going up versus them, it means that they're losing value. And why is that? Someone might say, what's gold got to do with value? Well, because gold has been the ultimate measurer of value for thousands of years. Gold has been used as money for thousands of years. The Federal Reserve note, or the dollar as we call it, has not been around for that long in the scheme of things, only since the early 1900s. So let's quickly reference this and this book here. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not trying to be a prophet to say gold is going to such and such price. Gold is going to go up next week. Gold is going to be at 2,000 by the end of the year. My goal here is just to try to explain how it's inevitable that the value of gold will keep going up versus paper currencies, because paper currencies, there are no limit to how much the central bankers and politicians can create. Gold, on the other hand, and silver as well, of course, are difficult to come by. You need to really do hard work mining to extract that gold. Gold, of course, you can't print it out of thin air or type it into a keyboard and create a gold entry, right? Well, they try, of course, through the paper market, the futures market, but that's another story. So, introduction by Dr. Henry G. Jarecki. Franz Pick, the world's foremost gold bug, is dead. A prolific, by the way, yeah, he wrote the book, and before it came out, he died. Anyway, a prolific writer and theoretician for the last 65 years. He was for 30 years the publisher of the Black Market Yearbook, which, in deference to the respectability of his central banker clients, he renamed Pick's Currency Yearbook. He and I were friends from the time he directed me in 1967 to the bullion firm I now lead until his death last week. What I admired about him was not his predictive ability, but his irascibility, energy, and rigid morality. True enough, he predicted, or said he did, the 1926 devaluation of the French franc, the 1931 devaluation of the British pound, and the meteoric rise in gold that emerged in the late 60s. But those predictions were not, when one knew him, predictions at all. They were rather the words of Hosea, declaring that the children of Sodom and Gomorrah were behaving badly and would thus come to no good. They were not, any more than Hosea's words were, practical guideposts. Not at all. He knew more about when gold or currencies would go up or down than anyone else can in this random world. So there you go. I don't know when things are going to happen, but I know that they will happen eventually, because it's the simple law of supply and demand. You can create a lot of paper and credit very easily. You can't create gold and silver very easily. So it's just common sense, right? He and I often argue about its randomness. I saying all of life was unpredictable. He's saying it was obvious destiny. To defeat my skepticism, he repeatedly cited his two somewhat diverse educational inputs. His hometown rabbi, whose Talmudic teachings proved, for Pick, that every currency was doomed to be unstable. And second, the 19th century Prussian economist Georg Friedrich Knapp, who believed that money was an instrument of state order, that its value reflected the public's attitude toward the state, and that, given man's failing, and thus the state's, the only road a currency can go is down. I've made a few videos in the past about how all the fiat currencies are sinking. And I also referenced an article I wrote back in 2007 called "They Are All Sinking," and nothing's changed. They're continuing to sink. So today, before I look at how the major fiat currencies are performing year to date versus gold, we got the euro here, XAU EUR. So you can see here we closed, this is a monthly closed, the highest monthly closed ever, 1383. I think we got to just below 1400 this month, or this week, this last week. So that's XAU EUR. XAU is just the mnemonic, the symbol that's used in the foreign exchange market for gold, XAU. So gold is traded as a currency in the currency market. So let's look at the gold price in Aussie dollars, which is XAU AUD. So here we go. This is a massive bull market here, just showing that the Aussie dollar is actually not doing well. We're way above the all-time high that it reached in 2011, closed the month at 2,256. The previous all-time high was just above 1,800 back in 2011, so we're way past that level. Let's go and have a look at XAU CAD, which is gold versus the Canadian dollar, or the loonie. Same thing, broken out on a monthly basis here, and we broke through the high from 2011, which was around 1,900. Closed August at 2023, XAU CAD. What about the currency that I use here where I live, the British pound or sterling, XAU GBP? Same thing. We've broken through the all-time high, which was just below 11.95 in 2011, closed the month at 12.50. Another breakout. So I've sometimes turned these charts upside down so you can have an idea how they're sinking versus gold, but I've kept it the right way up this time. All you need to know is that it's going to cost you a lot more to buy a gram of gold right now, because you will need a lot more of your national currency to accumulate gold. And in a way, all the time we've had the last 6 years that gold had been consolidating is actually a blessing in disguise, because it's allowed people to accumulate gold. And I think the fact that we can still accumulate gold with these paper currencies that usually revert to their intrinsic value of zero is a good thing. So I wouldn't be too despondent by all the volatility in gold, because in the end of the day, it's going to keep rising versus the national currencies. XAU CHF, which is the Swiss franc CHF. Why is that? Well, the official name of Switzerland is the Helvetic Confederacy. So Confederato Helvetico, the Latin term for it. So that's hence the CHF. So the Swiss franc is seen as one of the strongest fiat currencies, and that shows here, because we haven't really gone back to the old all-time high that it actually reached in 2012. We're still below that level, but still doing very well. Closed at 1505. XAU NZD or NZD, that's versus the Kiwi or the New Zealand dollar. Done well as well. We've broken through the 2011 high, which is just above 2,300. We are now at 2408. XAU NZD or NZD. Japanese yen, XAU JPY. A lot of times people say that the Japanese yen is a safe haven currency, but doesn't look like a safe haven to me. We're at all-time highs here. Closed at 161,569. We've broken the high, which was actually in 2013, just above 156,000. So also breaking out. So last but not least, XAU USD, which is the price of gold in dollars. And why is the dollar outperforming? Because out of all those currencies, as you can see, those charts, the dollar is the one that's furthest away from the all-time high that we saw in 2011. It closed at 1522. The high was 1921. Well, it's because the system is derived from the dollar. The dollar is still the major reserve currency of the world. A lot of business is done in dollars. Even when two countries don't use the dollar, when they trade amongst each other or between each other, they use the dollar. It's just been the way it has been for almost 80 years now. So, but the dollar is going to also continue to sink against gold because the dollar is actually, the United States is the country that's created the most debt. Of course, China has created a lot of debt as well, but the US is the biggest debtor nation. So you can bet that that old high will be confirmed. Don't know when. As I said, I'm not a prophet. Before I go on to the performances of these currencies versus gold, for the year or year to date for 2019, I just want to look at another chart here, XAU, XAG. Well, that's the price of gold in ounces of silver, the gold-silver ratio. And as you can see here, the gold-silver ratio had spiked almost up to 95 recently. And now it's starting to come down, and that's a good sign because precious metals bull market, we want to see a silver outperform, and that's what it shows there. You can see we closed at 82.79 for the month, and the previous high in the beginning of 2016 has been broken, so that's a good sign. So now to finish off, just show you the performances. Fiat currencies, they're all sinking. This is as of August 30th, 2019, or yesterday. So XAU USD, the dollar, US dollar versus gold. Gold is up 18.55% for the year. XAU EUR or euro up 23.77% versus the pound. Gold is up 24.43%. Canadian dollar, gold's up 15.72%. Aussie dollar, 24.09. New Zealand dollar, 26.27. Swiss franc, 19.54. Japanese yen, 14.91. So this is not about dollar strength or where the dollar is going. This is about where all these paper currencies are going. And they're going south versus gold. And looking at these here, the best performing out of these is, of course, the Japanese yen because it's had a better performance than all the other ones. Gold hasn't gone up as much in Japanese yen. Also, the Canadian dollar is the second best performer. You have to go down under to New Zealand to see the worst performing of these major currencies. It's the New Zealand dollar, as you can see. Gold's up 26.27%. And after that, it's the British pound. Gold is up almost 25% versus the British pound. So it's got nothing to do with Brexit, really. Why the pound is going down, you hear all the time it's Brexit. And it's got nothing to do with trade wars, why things are getting worse. It's all to do with the debt. This is the only way that the central bankers and the governments can, how can I say, write off the debt through inflation. And the only currency against which national currencies or fiat currencies can truly only devalue against is gold. And this is going to keep going on. The triumph of gold. It's not going to happen overnight. It's just going to keep triumphing. And I guess we're lucky that it's not happening all at once, or else we wouldn't be able to protect ourselves and our families financially. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Twitter, Steemit, and on DTube. I wish you all a great weekend. Take care. Bye.